Hi, this is Robin Harris, co-chair of the state of Florida, also National Black Caucus, and I'd like to take some time to talk to you about our political climate, social political climate as well, and what we can do as Greens, um, and how we can possibly navigate in this critical moment. And of course, I'm making this statement post George Floyd execution, and in the midst of George Floyd rebellions, I kind of like to say. And so I want to start with talking about the issues around the statement Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of conversation. Some of it is negative about whether it's an organization or whether they're being funded, whether folks are being funded by George Soros, whether it's an organization, or is it a sentiment? And it's possibly all of those. I don't. I think that if we focus on some of the negative things that it could be, I think that it dilutes it. It's unnecessary propaganda, and it takes away from what the efforts are, what the efforts are. And so remember that Black Lives Matter was a hashtag. It was a response to Trayvon Martin's death and his murderer being found not guilty. And so it was a response by a queer woman, just probably being just fed up and hurt in saying Black Lives Matter. So it's a sentiment. It caught on. It's something that was heartfelt in the bodies of many people, and they moved with it. And I don't think that folks should be faulted because of that. Again, I can't worry or try to figure out if folks are funded by George Soros or not. But again, I think it's important that there is a statement, and there is a sentiment that we recognize that Black Lives Matter. And then I think once that's understood, most important, we can move to say Black Power matters, because that's what we're lacking. That's Black people. We're lacking power. So we recognize that our voices have not been heard, and so following up with Black Lives Matter, Black Power matters. It matters so much that we've seen in the past month or so people taking to the streets, and I want to take time to applaud the streets, because if it hadn't been for the streets, I don't think that some of those charges would have been upgraded. So Black Lives Matter, Black Power matters, and I appreciate the efforts that I've seen. Um, we have to push back and assist in this pushback of this military occupation in our neighborhoods. This is what it is. It's military occupation, not only here, but we also see it abroad, and we have to understand those connections. This is global. This is colonialism. This is imperialism. This is all of the isms that we're seeing, and so the streets, at best, I think we're seeing an endeavorment of folks pushing back on all of that. It may not be articulated the way that that some of us who may be more revolutionary, we may find some lack in that. But these are rebellions. This is uprising. This is the beginning of revolutions, and I'm hoping that these demands will turn into policies and legislation that's much needed. And so, with that being said, Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't seem like it, even in the medical field, in the wake or in the midst of all of these uprisings. COVID-19 is haunted, and we once again see genocide through COVID-19. It's taken Black lives tremendously. And so, but again, I do want to applaud those who have taken to the streets and look this colonial nastiness in the face and say we still demand power and we still demand respect. COVID-19 has taken out many black and brown and native people. And so, but the stance that it's made, I can't overlook that. And so I'd like for the Green Party to also look at this as an environmental. The Green Party has to be willing to try to erase the white environmentalism appearance that we have. And I think one thing that will be key is if we study epigenetics. Epigenetics is a science it's kind of likened to post-traumatic slave syndrome. That may be one way you understand that this generational illnesses or trauma, and definitely we were stolen from the continent, brought here, brutalized under police terror, slave patrols, and then the slave diet. There's a great article by Cam Howard that I would like for you to read on epigenetics and this transgenerational illnesses. And so slaves were given slave diets that consisted of cornmeal and fat. So our DNA has had this or these illnesses already passed down. And so COVID-19, what it does, that's why we're targeted. So that's another argument also for reparations. So there's lots of discussion that we can have about that. But the Green Party, I would like for you to take your environmental platform to see how we can stand in solidarity with black communities that understand this and that know this. We should be leading that conversation. I have not heard anyone from the duopoly system even dare to touch that. So I think that's one way for us to begin to lead politically. And so with that being said, it's kind of concerning that when we see things as tragic as the execution of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and there's so many names. But when we see this, usually the response from the Democrats is, so vote blue on come November 20. It's an insult. That's an insult because they're usually all part of this systemic, institutionalized, this political theater, this drama, and we need better. And so the Green Party, we need to begin to empower candidates for 2024 already now that can give people, that can give folks a reason to vote. We need to be able to articulate on reparations. We need to begin to be able to have empowered candidates that can articulate the message of a black agenda and an agenda for Native folks. We need to empower people right now, 2020, to be able to be the answer and the option for a better world. And so I thank you, and I'd like to take this discussion even further, but I want to thank you for listening to me now. And I want to, again, to thank all of you for your revolutionary efforts and for everything that you're doing as a Green Party member. And I just submit my peace and much love to you. Thank you for listening.